Hi, my name's Janice and I'm a Thermomix consultant. Today I thought we'd take the opportunity to check out the cutter, which is a new attachment for the Thermomix 5 and 6. Now, for those of you that have been watching my videos, you would know that I'm going through a bit of a pantry purge at the moment, pantry challenge as it may be. So looking in my fridge, I found a cucumber which is just starting to get a little bit soft. So I thought we would have a try at the sweet cucumber pickles that are in the Thermomix Cutter cookbook on Cookie Do. So I will jump straight in. Now, like I do make the cucumber pickles, so I've altered their recipe slightly in that I've changed. They use apple cider vinegar and I'm going to use white vinegar, which is definitely my preferred vinegar for cucumber pickles. So okay, it says to set aside some sterilised jars. Well, because this is going in our fridge and we're going to be using it this week, I'm just going to put it in a glass container. So then next, so in each jar place 2 teaspoons of mustard seeds. So I think it said brown mustard seeds. Now I've got black mustard seeds. Okay. 1 teaspoon of the peppercorns. And 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of the chili flakes. And then just set that aside. Rightio. So it says to place a bowl onto the mixing bowl lid and weigh in 3 to 4 cucumbers, washed and trimmed, approximately 200 grams each. This is actually, if I put that on there, 350 grams. So it's about half the weight. So then we set the bowl aside. Rightio. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the cutter by putting the shaft in. So I've seen a few Facebook posts lately with people that when they're removing their cutter, they're not remembering to take the shaft out and they're chopping their shaft up. So I've got to remember not to do that. Rightio. And then we've got, put that on. Rightio. Now what we want is the slicing blade. So it actually shows us here on top that this is the slicing blade and it shows thick or thin. So, and also a good thing is that to remember is I saw someone, they said grey is for grate and this colour is slate and it's for slice. So that's another way to remember which way it goes up. And then we're going to put the lid on. Okay, next. Okay. Now we're going to pop that in there. I won't put it in next. I will, because I've got the Thermomix 6 and I've got the modes. I just get to select thin or thick, and they want us to use thick. So that's that. Let it go. Right, next. We just got to wait for the arms to release. And then we lift the cutter out and we're going to take the shaft out. That's our sliced cucumber. Okay. So it just says remove that and set aside, right. Place 230 grams of water. Now because I'm doing half the cucumber, I'm only going to do half the pickling brine. So 230 grams, what's that? 115 grams of water. Make sure I haven't left the shaft, is definitely not in there. Oops, okay, a bit more than 115. Okay, and then they say 230 grams of apple cider vinegar. Rightio, so I'm using, as I said, I'm using white vinegar because that's my preferred vinegar for milder pickles. So we're going to do 115. 136, excellent. Next, 3 teaspoons of sea salt, so that's 1.5 teaspoons. So if I use this half teaspoon measure, I'll just put 3 in. Next, 1.5 tablespoons of white sugar. What's that? 3 teaspoons. So if you're looking at an Australian recipe, their tablespoons are 20 grams, but American, their tablespoons are 15 grams. So that's a good thing to remember when you're looking at recipes, when they're talking about tablespoons, and that's to check the origin of the recipe. Okay, so now we'll put the lid on. And it says to place the simmering basket instead of the measuring cup on the mixing bowl, so I'll grab that in a minute. Then turn the speed select to speed 3. All right, and that's gonna heat up at 5 degrees for 5 minutes at 100 degrees on speed 3. And then it says, and while they're going to give us the next step, it says while it's doing that, we've got to do the next step. So it says gently pack the sliced cucumbers tightly into prepared jars, leaving a 1.5 centimetre space from the rim. Now, as I said before, I'm not going to put this in jars. I am going to put it into this container because we'll be using this week. Just separate them out a bit so that the pickling solution can get in between. I mean, you don't have to use the individual spices. You can buy pickling spices from the supermarkets, and you just use a, their blend. Rightio. If we just check what it says to do, we can look at here, and then we can look at the recipe detail. And if we scroll down, it says to once this comes up to temperature, we set it aside for 5 minutes to let it cool a little bit before we pour it over the pickles. So I'll come back when it's ready to go. Rightio, so that's heated up and now it's cool for 5 minutes. For my more observant viewers, I did move this out of that big dish into a smaller dish. And so now I'm going to pour, hang on, let's see. It says to fill each jar with pickling liquid to cover the cucumbers completely. Now when you're pickling vegetables, you can either pour a hot pickling solution over it or a cold pickling solution. If you pour a hot one, it will soften the vegetables slightly. So if you're looking for a crunchier pickle, then wait for the pickling solution to cool down completely, or check what the recipe says. I mean, sometimes there's a reason why you want a hot pickling solution. Rightio? Let's do it. So I'll give them a bit of a juggle and make sure they're all underneath the surface of the liquid. And then they set into jars, seal jars, and set aside to cool to room temperature. Now, if you're putting it in jars and you put the lid on, the heat should seal the jar. I don't think these, once cool, place in the fridge for a minimum of 2 days before using. I don't think these have got a long shelf life here. Let's look at this. There's always tips at the bottom of the recipe. And it says, these pickles are not preserved, therefore will only last for up to 1 month in the fridge. So even though you cool them at room temperature, once they're cold, they go in the fridge, and you leave for at least 2 days before you eat them. So rightio, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.